Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Oh, it's a bit cold. Sammy, United People's TV, welcome to another morning live news show. Got that the wrong way around. Another live morning news show. Going to run through the latest United news, as I always do. Going to speak about the internationals, a bit of a roundup. I think that's the end of the internationals now. I'm guessing everybody will be back at Carrington tomorrow? Don't actually know. They come back to Carrington? I'm guessing tomorrow. Anyway, going to run through all of that. Speak about Diego Leon's debut for Paraguay. Speak about Ahmad having a great performance for Ivory Coast. And also, we are going to be speaking about the Ugarte and Amorim stories that are circulating, the quotes, what's been said. I'll run through that. Also, then have a conversation about Casemiro and his future. Sekou Kone, what's going on there. Stenny Lomans and Courtois' comments on him. And yeah, as always, I'll answer as many of your comments as I possibly can. I want to kick off today's show by saying a wonderful morning to Shuab. I saw how you said it yesterday. Shuab, gifted another 5 memberships. You've been a legend this week, man. And Gungshi, the Gungshi, how are you doing? Lovely to see you. Thank you for tuning in. Let's say hello to everyone now. Steph, good morning to you. A couple of the mods. We've got Gungshi and Steph. We've got Carl there as always. Josh, you'll be here as well. We've got some members too. We've got Rookie11, that's a new name. We've got King Fire, Matt Bird. We've got Tyler. We've got David Collette. Vicky, good morning to you. Moonraker. Sam the Flan Man. Flan. Is a flan like a quiche? I made that up. Quiches, by the way. Who came up with quiche? Oh, man, the texture of a quiche is grim. Whew. Random, I know, but just thought I'd let you know. I've got no time for a quiche. Right, let's run through the news. Let's get into the show. As always, please do get involved throughout the show. Throw in your questions. If you want to throw in a super chat, I'll read those out as long as they're appropriate. Right. I just want to start off today's show by saying congratulations to Diego Leon. Only came off the bench for 13 minutes for Paraguay, but that's his senior international debut. Was it his first call-up to the senior team? It might have been his first call-up, don't know. Anyway, it was his first appearance. And look, Paraguay lost 2-0, didn't really matter. He's made his debut for Paraguay. Now, Paraguay, if I remember correctly, they're going to the World Cup this year, and it's going to be the first time in 16 years that they have done so. So it's going to be a big moment for Paraguay. And it'll be a big moment for Diego Leon if he can be in that squad for the World Cup. So that'll be a massive moment. If you imagine the last, what is it, 6 months or so for Diego Leon. He's gone from playing in Paraguay, playing for Cerro Porteño, and now he's flown to Manchester. He's now a Manchester United player, and he's got his first call-up, and he's made his international debut. Apparently it's his third call-up. But congratulations to him. It's a good bit of progress is kind of the point I'm trying to make. Now, the player who certainly had the best performance yesterday for, well, as far as United players, international breaks, it was Ahmad. So, Ahmad got a goal and an assist for the Ivory Coast yesterday. I can't play this video because FIFA will shut me down. But this is Ahmad down the right-hand side. He cuts in on his left foot. And I honestly think that this is something that we could really... This is something I really want to see at Manchester United. I've spoken about Mbeumo in these positions, but I'm speaking about Ahmad in these positions now as well. I suppose the same thing can apply to both. Ahmad here cuts inside on his left foot, and look at this run here from the edge. Imagine that's Cunha. Well, I suppose you can imagine that's Bruno, really. The run from there, Ahmad just plays a lovely ball just across there. Steps onto it, steps forward, bang, goal. Really nice assist. But it's that late run into the box and spotting that pass. Lovely from Ahmad, but not as good as his free kick was at the end. Got a goal too, right towards the end. Lil Durkio saying, as a Kenyan, I'm happy Ahmad scored and assisted. Should be fuming. I'll be honest, the keeper should be doing better in this one. It was one of those, one of those free kicks sometimes you just get on FIFA or something like that. The ball's there. There seems to be a gap in the left-hand corner. You're thinking, will the keeper get there? Sod it, I'm going to go for it anyway. And he just fired it into the side netting. Keeper couldn't reach it. I think it was probably just a little bit of bad positioning from the keeper, but it was a good hit from Ahmad. And that's a goal and an assist for him. And if we speak about players who were here before who have had slow starts to the season, I think Ahmad's one of them, and I think Bruno's another one of them. Two of our best players. Now, you can be angry about Bruno all you want. Bruno is one of Manchester United's best players. He's been using in the wrong position, but I'm just speaking about Ahmad here. He's not been as influential as I thought Ahmad was going to be so far at the start of this season. But he was really quite good against Sunderland. I think he was good against Burnley as well. And it's good to see him getting a goal and an assist. Double A saying Šeško unbeaten in his last 3 games. Was it 0-0 they got with... Who was it? Kosovo? Switzerland? Don't know. Who cares? What was he saying down here? Cunha or Mount running onto that pass on Sunday, says Alex. That's exactly what I mean. Like that the late run into the box that's unmarked by a defender. It's such a simple thing when you see it, but that's kind of what the best do, right? They make difficult things look simple, but that is quite a simple pass. I've seen a comment down there, and I think I'll say something on this. I haven't got anything pulled up to have a conversation about Sancho, but I think there's a lot of noise going on social media this week from Sancho. I'm not going to comment on it at this moment in time. I'm just going to let it all play out on social. But yeah, there's a lot being said about Sancho. I don't think it will be appropriate for me to comment and bring it all up until more comes out. But it seems like a lot of stuff's coming out of the woodwork. You know what I would love to know? There's something I can say about Sancho, and I've said this before. I would love... I'm never going to get access to this, of course I'm not. But I would love to get access to read what United's research was into Sancho before we signed him. Remember we went after this lad for 2 summers in a row. Remember the summer before? Dortmund wanted 130 mil. We wouldn't pay up, and then we signed him for 70 odd mil, and we thought we got a steal. I would love to know what research United did into the due diligence. Again, I don't know why I always do this comparisons with houses, but it's almost like buying a house without doing any searches on it. And being shocked and surprised when all this nasty information comes out about the house. Well, you should have probably done your searches. Well, you have to do searches before you buy a house. It just feels like United just really did not do their research on Sancho, on his character, on everything, on all the red flags that existed. Anyway. I might comment on a bit more on that when more information comes out, but you can go and take a look on socials if you want to see what's going on there. Now, Casemiro played 90 minutes for Brazil. They lost to Japan 3-2. They beat South Korea 5-0. Cunha and Casemiro got an assist in the first game. Casemiro captained Brazil on both occasions, so I think it's fair to say that Ancelotti has got Casemiro in his Brazil World Cup squad plans. I think that's a given. But Cunha played, 33 minutes? There you go. A little bit more. Bruno played an hour. Diogo Dalot was an unused sub. That was Portugal's game against Hungary. Did Ronaldo score twice? I think he did. And I don't know, did Yoro play again for the French under-21s team? I can't remember. Either way, the best news coming out of this international break is there are no injuries. Everyone's coming back with a clean bill of health. Cunha getting some minutes for Brazil. Casemiro playing plenty of minutes. I don't know whether that will be a good thing, if I'm being completely honest. Casemiro flying to Asia, playing 2 games. Did he play 90 minutes in the first game as well? Don't know whether or not he's going to be 100% fit, considering he's got to fly back from Asia, played a midweek international, and then going to Anfield on Sunday. All in all, it was a good international break because there were no injury concerns. And the standout player, from yesterday is definitely Ahmad, getting a goal and an assist for the Ivory Coast. CTB with a random question there, which I actually answered before. What's your favourite World Cup? For me, the 2002 World Cup. It's 1998 for me, man. Even the theme tune, Carnival de Paris, and the game. Ah, man, FIFA Road to World Cup 98. And the players. Nah, it's the best. I refuse to believe that there is a... I suppose there's others that you could put into the conversation, but for me personally, 1998, by some stretch of the... By every... Stretch of the imagination? It's the wrong thing to say. In my estimations, was the best one. Yeah, I apologise about that. Double A and Derek, you're right to point that out. Aiden Heaven. He did pick up an injury for England's under-20s. We don't know exactly what's gone on there, but I suppose that's the one injury concern. Quite a few of you are talking about 2010 World Cup. Meh. I'll tell you what was probably one of the best spectacles I've ever watched in terms of a World Cup was last year's World Cup, the last World Cup final. Messi and Mbappe. Just like the way that game swung. Imagine scoring a hat-trick in a World Cup final and not winning it. Just the narratives in that story, in that final going into it, were amazing. And I think the final really lived up to expectations. Now, let's move on. And I did this video yesterday. It's a series, it's a running series on this channel, and I'll continue to do it. Sort of like a What's Happening series, just to bring you up to date on big talking points. And the return of Lisandro Martinez is a big one. So we did a video, as I said in this one, we did a video 3 months ago following his rehab, everything that was happening to that point. In the last 3 months, he's just been working hard on an individual plan. Last month, he was back on grass at Carrington. And all reports suggest that he's going to be back and available in some capacity for Manchester United before the next international break. So we've got 4 fixtures, I think, before the next international break. Anfield, we've got Liverpool away, we've got Brighton at home, Forest away, Spurs away. Now you've got Stephen Ralston from the Manchester Evening News saying, look, he's, as I said, closing in on that return. But I very much doubt that United are going to be rushing with this one. Like I've read some of the comments out on the video yesterday. Somebody was saying that I think his daughter, I think it was his daughter, had like 2 massive knee surgeries on ligament damage and ligament problems and how long it took to come back. Just everybody kind of in the comments coming with their own experiences really on knee injuries and knee concerns. It's just not one you ever want to rush back. That's why they always say that it's better to snap a bone than it is to tear a muscle or to tear a ligament. Just because the scar tissue that comes back on said ligament, it just takes a long... And I can confirm, you're sitting at you're looking at someone who still is in the rehab, which is going much better actually recently. I'm really starting to feel a lot stronger, which is a good thing. But after, I told you, when I had I had a slip in Bilbao, like some wet pavement slabs, and my mate's dad fell right on my knee, bent it backwards, and that was in May. That wasn't even a fault. I don't even know what damage I did there. I definitely heard it. But that took me months and months, let alone an actual full ACL reconstruction surgery. Paul, you're saying Brighton at home would be a good return the last 25, 30 minutes. It all depends on how the game's going, really, let's be honest. Because how often? Sunderland, maybe. But even in the second half against Sunderland, United were kind of, the second half wasn't as good. When was the last time that United ever had a 20 to 30 minute period towards the end of the game where we're winning, we're in control, and we can go, oh, we can think about resting people. We can think about giving him an opportunity. I can't remember that. It's full tilt for United. Always. So, maybe Brighton. I can't imagine an away game would be the best environment. I don't know. Let me see what you're saying. Gordon, you're saying there's no chance of him being back for Brighton. Alex is saying, I've tweaked my MCL from playing football and can confirm it's worse than a broken tibia. Rhythm, you're saying also can confirm it's horrible. One little setback can derail your whole recovery. There's plenty of you who are speaking about your own experiences with knee injuries, knee problems. And I think even more so with Martinez, because he's had, like, context is kind of everything. Because he's had the metatarsal injury, And then the botched surgery, so double metatarsal surgery. And then he had the injury he suffered against West Ham. And this is all in the build-up to doing your ACL or doing a cruciate ligament injury and then having surgery and then being out for 9 months, wherein you've spent so much of the previous 18 months out injured already. You're going to be double, triple precautionary. This kind of feels like what United have done so far and will be with Martinez. Issue is, I bloody want him back yesterday. Right? I want him back yesterday. That's how much we need him back in this team. But yeah, that's the update on Martinez. And I already spoke about this. I just wanted to run through that with you now. So let's move on to a story that Andrew saying it wasn't botched. He was brought back too soon and that aggravating the healing process. Then I would call that a botched recovery. Maybe the surgery itself wasn't botched, but that's a botched rehab. If you're brought back too soon and you've aggravated it, then you've not given yourself enough time to heal. That's the botched rehab. So probably just need to phrase that different. Ugarte. I think it's fair to say that Ugarte is a sticking point for most Manchester United fans. I'll be honest. I think Kobbie Mainoo and what's going on with Kobbie is a big part of the reason why Ugarte is such a sticking point. So someone down there saying, what's the story between Amorim and Ugarte? Effectively what happened is Laurie Whitwell, Talk of the Devils on tour. So I think they were in Cork last night. And he mentioned something about Ugarte during the live show. Now, I've been told, I don't know if this is completely correct or not. I've been told that part of what Talk of the Devil do is that they ask people to, like, anything that we speak about during these shows, can you just keep it in the shows? And that's kind of part and parcel of the live show format. And then some quotes went around yesterday from the show that were then aggregated. Laurie asked quite a few of those to be taken down. So I'm not going to cover exactly what they were here because, well, he's asked them not to go around. So I don't think that would be fair. But it's got people talking about Amorim. It's got people talking about Ugarte and what's going on this season. And that's where I want to sort of jump in on it. Because it's fair to say that Ugarte has been an underwhelming signing. I don't think he's been I really stand by this. I don't think he's been as awful as people say he is. But I think he's kind of been exactly what I thought he would be. I think a lot of people who are really, really angry and annoyed with Ugarte is because they're expecting him to do something he just doesn't have in his locker. But when it comes to game time this season, as I said, I think Kobbie is a big part of why people are frustrated and annoyed with this whole Ugarte situation. So if we take a look here, right? So far this season, you can see down there at the bottom, Ugarte has played. Can I turn that on? Yeah, 1 second there. Ugarte has played 242 minutes in the Premier League. And that's from 630 in total. Which I think roughly works out to around about 35-ish% of game time. Now that's a fringe player. That's not someone who's regularly starting. That's someone who's, he's played a third of the minutes. Unfortunately, you can go down here and you can see Kobbie's minutes, right? So out of a total of 630, he's played 113 minutes, which works out at roughly 18-19%. So as little as Ugarte is being used by Amorim this season, he's still being used twice as much as Kobbie. And I think this really is the core of the frustration, if I'm honest. I think there's equal amounts frustration at Ugarte's limitations as a midfielder, as there is the fact that Amorim is choosing to play him ahead of Mainu. I think it's both those things at the same time which sort of exacerbate it. I'm going to go down here and read some of your comments out, but when it comes to a midfield overhaul in the summer, Ugarte should be moved on. I think that's a given, isn't it? Andrew is saying Ugarte was brought in as an enforcer, and that role requires being part of a solid pivot. He's not built for covering large areas of space like a Carrick type midfielder. Maybe to a certain degree. He's significantly better out of possession than he is in possession. And the problem is when you... the problem is his partnerships. The problem is balances, which is the whole problem of our midfield. There really isn't a midfield two. You can come in here in the chat and tell me, there you go, that's where the balance is. Because there isn't. Like, I think I've used this phrase before, but it certainly applies to United's midfield. It's just compromise everywhere. Whether it's compromising playing Bruno deeper and putting him alongside Ugarte, they've got problems together. Or Ugarte and Mainu, who's still probably the best midfield performance I've seen so far. Are you allowed to count preseason games? Maybe not. But Ugarte and Mainu against Bournemouth, well, that was because we were pressing incredibly high and it worked. Casemiro and Bruno, it's a compromise. Casemiro can't cover the spaces that Bruno's obviously going to leave behind by being more forward-thinking. Casemiro and Ugarte, it's like two holding midfielders. That's definitely got limitations. Mainu and Casemiro, there is no midfield combo that you can tell me is that's going to be United's solution this season, which is kind of why we needed one. And we all knew that. Now let me go down and read some of your chats out. Hydra saying Amorim sees Ugarte and Mainu as different positions, so in his mind, they're not comparable. I mean, I know you're right, and I don't disagree with that. Maybe I need to look at Ugarte's tackling stats, maybe. Or what Amorim clearly sees that he brings to the team that Mainu does not in that position. We're going down there. They are completely different players. D. James saying Ugarte would be a better partner with Cobby in a 4-2-3-1. Well, we're not going to switch formation, are we, mate? What research did Ineos do that made them buy Ugarte? I think we just overlooked his lack of progression. Natural progressions. That's kind of why PSG moved him on. Hey, look, if United could have afforded him, then we probably would have been in for João Neves. But we couldn't. So we weren't. Akash saying underwhelming is an understatement. Pay 50 mil for a midfielder who can't pick a pass forward. Sometimes he can. It's not impossible for him. But I'll be interested to see what sort of develops this week, I suppose, in terms of what was actually said about Ugarte by Amorim. I don't know whether we're actually going to get that. Someone down there saying, isn't there a big difference between a midfielder made for a double pivot and one suited to a midfield three? Well, yeah, of course there is. Midfield is easier. If there's three of you, rather than two of you, you're covering less ground. Therefore, you can focus on more technical qualities, a.k.a. Cobby. Cobby is not... It's not that he can't play it, but Cobby is not best suited to a midfield two. Bruno is not best suited to a midfield two. Ugarte, not really. Like, to be in a midfield two, man, you've got to be like a physical freak. You really do. The amount that you've got to cover. Imran down there saying the hate towards Ugarte is forced. And this isn't hate, man. Well, certainly not from me. I still think he's an okay squad player. I think there's going to be game states and situations where I think Ugarte probably will actually help United. But I certainly wouldn't keep him next summer. I certainly would be selling him as part of my midfield overhaul. And that's not a mad statement to say in any way, shape, or form. That's just what I would want the club to do in terms of how if we overhauled the attack during the summer, then all the focus should be on the midfield. And maybe you do the defence a year later. I don't know. You work backwards. But let's find out. As I said, I think part of the issue is not just Ugarte's shortcomings as a player. It's the fact that he's being chosen ahead of Kobe, who is a player that I think we're all a little bit... If Kobe wasn't an academy player, would there be such a strong calling for him to be included in the team? I think largely yes, because we can all see the technical qualities of Kobe. But in the modern game, and that's kind of why we signed Ugarte, technical qualities aren't as important. Is this the wrong thing to say? Technical qualities of footballers aren't as important as physical qualities. Would you say that's a fair thing to say about Premier League players these days? I think Florian Wirtz is a really good example of that. Like, clearly an incredible technical player. Some of the playmaking he did in the Bundesliga was unbelievable. Constantly creating. But he just looks a bit limp in the Premier League. Of course, that's gonna be like the introduction and starting, and everyone's gonna start slow. But it feels like you just can't get away without having that physicality in the Premier League anymore. Probably why Kobe's been working on that side of things. Yeah. Anthony's saying, Sam, do you know what was said but keeping it quiet? No, I know what was reported on the aggregators, but I know that Laurie has been asking those aggregators to take it offline. So I'd rather not say it again. You can go and read that elsewhere if you want, but I'm sure that some of them will take it offline. And maybe he'll comment on it now that the live show's finished. I don't know. But you can still have a conversation about Amorim and Ugarte like we have just there anyway. And moving on from Ugarte, I think I'm going to be doing my lunchtime video today is going to be on kind of a look ahead towards next summer. And this conversation about Casemiro has to be part of that. Now, you all know what my position was on Casemiro during the summer. I never wavered on that. I never changed on that. And my opinion hasn't changed. Casemiro is going to be a free agent in the summer. So United, if they wanted to, shake your hand. Thank you for your time at United. Good luck in whatever else you're doing. Alternatively, and this could in theory happen, United could offer Casemiro, I don't know, a 1-2 year contract. I don't know what it would be, but it wouldn't be a long one at his age. Asking him to take a massive wage cut because he's on north of 300 and keeping him for 1 or 2 more years. Now, I want to ask you this in a poll. 2 options. 1, let Casemiro leave on a free. 2, keep Casemiro on reduced wages. They're your 2 options, right? What would you prefer United to do? Why is anyone talking about Bellingham again? Mate, it's just like a whiffy story about Joe Bellingham at bloody Dortmund. Simply because he's not really playing that much. That's all it is. It's just international breaks taking advantage of players who might be a little bit frustrated and at their own current club and then just actually link them to United. Why not? So, Siegs, you're saying depends on what? If you're talking about Casemiro, not really. There's just 2 options. You either let his contract's going to run out, right? Someone's saying on reduced wages, but how much? I mean, I don't know that much. I suppose that's a question. Right, 1 second here. I'll be back in a sec. Door's ringing, and I can't miss this one. The amount of things. I can't wait. I've got some photos I want to show you when all this work is done. Every single morning, there's builders, there's electricians, there's things, there's stuff. That's why I keep having to go. Anyway, knock indeed. What was I saying? Casemiro. This. So, 300 votes are in. 1 second there. I've got to close the door. 1 second here. Oh, my God. Told you Sam's got a drink problem. He's off for a shot. Just snuck one off. Right. 2 options. Number 1, let Casemiro go on a free. 56% of you have said let him leave on a free. Number 2, keep Casemiro on reduced wages. 44% of you. Let me see what you're saying down here in the chat. Where's the elevator music? I didn't get the elevator music. You're right, actually. Let me put this down on my to-do list. Get elevator music for when door rings. That's on my to-do list now. Won't miss it. Let him go. Says Vince, we have enough dead weight. Just get rid. If they do keep him, he has an excuse to not go big on midfielders this summer. Mike saying, even with reduced wages, he'll still be on more than what he should be paid. And I think that's kind of a fair point. Like, let's say Casemiro. I mean, this probably wouldn't even happen. Let's say Casemiro took a 50% wage cut. I think he'd still be on near enough what Cunha's on. Right? That's too much money for effectively I don't want to say this in an impolite way, but like a mentor. That's the real benefit of Casemiro, I think, is the experience that he brings, the example that he probably sets as a professional in certain games, what he can bring on the pitch. But I'm done with United. It would be classic Manchester United. Classic Manchester United to just keep Casemiro on reduced wages, to give Maguire an extended contract and bring him in. It just feels like old United rather than a new United. I don't think it should happen. Right? I'm going to do a lunchtime video on that. JDK saying the word significant, I think, means a lot to the value proposition. But yeah, as I said, even a significant wage cut for Casemiro would put him as one of our top earners in a new wage structure. That's how much he's on now. But yeah, 500 votes are in and 58% of you are saying let Casemiro leave on a free. So quite a few of you would still keep him. Right. Ants in my pants. No, just people at my door. Right, let's run through this. Okay. This is from the Daily Mail. I'm just picking out anything that's maybe slightly worthy of your attention. So Confidential kind of happens, I think, once a week. Chris Wheeler and Nathan Salt. In terms of the takeover, there's nothing really for us to talk about from this. Look, it's understood the Glazers would demand in excess of $6.6 billion to sell up, a significant return on their initial leverage buyout. These are just the big numbers and the same sort of numbers that were linked when Jacine was involved. Potential here, and they want an extortionate amount of money. It isn't really reflective of the price of Manchester United, but more is reflective of what United could and should be worth if it's a properly run football club. Same story, nothing new to speak about there. All right. And this I thought was an interesting talking point. Jack Fletcher and Shea Lacey being 2 players who have made some of the biggest impressions in first-team training. Curiously, with Jack Fletcher, something that's happened in the last... It feels like only the last couple of months. He's been playing under 20 for the under 21s. He's been playing left back a couple of times. And I think for England, was it England under 19s during the international break? He also played left back and ahead of Harry and Mass as well. I'm just curious as to whether that's a positional shift on purpose or just for... I mean, it kind of has to be. That's why I'm saying it's curious, because if Jack Fletcher was always playing central midfield for Manchester United in the under-18s, and now he's playing kind of left wing-back for the under-21s and for the international team, it kind of tells you that because it's two different teams, coaches, setups, both using him there, it's an interesting one. One to watch, for sure. And Shea Lacey, I think we might see Shea Lacey in a matchday squad before the end of this season. Little hot take there. Don't know whether he'd play or not. I think there's a chance that we see him in a matchday squad. Maybe especially when Ahmad and Mbumo go to AFCON in January. What games have we got in January? I know, so I can't bother to look at the moment. I'll do it another time. Someone down there, Sieg, saying Jack Fletcher looks a better player than his dad. Mate. Darren Fletcher. United were just so damn good at that time that you were allowed to look at Darren Fletcher and just not see how bloody good he was. Because then you're looking over there and you're seeing Carrick, you're seeing Scholes, Giggs, Ronaldo. You were little bit quality everywhere, but Darren Fletcher, such a ridiculously dependable player. Kind of like the midfield John O'Shea. Nah, actually, I think he's a little bit better than John O'Shea was. I mean, John O'Shea was very much a, where's your leak? You know that advert, this Australian advert where they've got that little like tape and they slap it on like the water tank and it just holds it up. That's kind of what John O'Shea was. Although he did nutmeg Luis Figo. So the thing I always remember about Darren Fletcher, bad memory, was that tackle he did on Fabregas in the 2009 Champions League semi-final. Second leg, I think. Won the ball. Perfect. On the replay, you can see his toe going to it. If it was VAR, it wouldn't have happened now. But the ref sent him off for it. And then we didn't have Fletcher in the final in Rome, I think. And I'm convinced he would have made a difference. Anyway. That chip against Arsenal from O'Shea. Ooh. Lovely. Someone down there talking about Sekou Kone. This was the other thing that was mentioned about the youth players there. There's been high hopes for Sekou Kone, particularly after plans changed to keep him in the house rather than send him out on loan, but the fractured eye socket derailed his season. He's on the mend, close to a return. But it's unfortunate for Sekou Kone. Like, injuries can take opportunities away from you. Injuries can give you opportunities. Was it Martial injured against Midtjylland and Rashford got his chance? Kind of the way it works. But Sekou Kone sounds like he's closing in on his return. It was a fractured eye socket. That's a pretty bad injury that he got. Nishant saying, I can't even remember last season's games. Dude, I can't even remember what happened like 2-3 weeks ago, but it's just like there's moments in games that you'll always like stick in your mind. And that sort of injustice for Fletcher against Arsenal, I always remember. Because I remember it was a proper like stretch and he just got his toe to the ball ahead of Fabregas in the box. Was it in the box? I think it was. Yeah, definitely got sent off. Someone down there saying, what's your thoughts on Michael Oliver being ref again on Sunday? Look, right? I was going to mention this earlier in the week. Do I want Michael Oliver reffing a United game, especially at Anfield after he sent off Delo? Remember that? That little, towards the end of the game, under Ten Hag, 0-0, right at the end. Delo kicks the ball off Salah's foot, goes for a throw-on. Oliver gives the throw-on to Liverpool. Delo throws his arms up and shouts at him. And then somehow gets 2 yellow cards in the space of 9 seconds and gets sent off. I was like, what? But I was looking through the list of referees who... And this is the thing, like, I can be annoyed that Michael Oliver is going to ref, but there's not one referee that I would go there and be like, yeah, I'm so excited that he's a ref. They're all crap. So, like, which shade of shit do I want? Oh, what a choice. That's kind of why I didn't really speak about or get annoyed about the fact that Michael Oliver is reffing, because there isn't one ref that I'll be like, oh, that's going to solve our problems. No doubt Michael Oliver will probably put himself front and centre, though. Let's be honest. Right. Final little talking point, and then I'm going to get your questions in, right? Senna was obviously away on international duty with Belgium, was on the bench. Courtois is the number one for Belgium, but a very good mentor for him to have, very good person to speak about. Of course, he's played at Anfield a few times. And just a couple of quotes from Courtois on long ones. I just wanted to run through them and we can have a little chat. He said, look, his first game was a flavour of what United will get. He's a tall guy, not afraid to come on crosses, and he's a kid with personality. I'm sure he can do a good job. He has a tough game this weekend, so I hope if he plays, it will go well for him. All the best. Like what he said there about the personality. It's so important. Like, what's your interpretation there of what he means by personality? The way I'm interpreting it is you don't really get, maybe this is, it can't be like a sweeping rule here, but you don't really get successful introvert goalkeepers. Because I'd say that's probably the two like key personality types, right? Introverts and extroverts. Introverts kind of keep themselves to themselves, get along with what I'm doing. Extroverts, bit louder, bit more active. So as someone Silicon says on there, not afraid to express himself. I think you have to be an extrovert to be a goalkeeper. You got to be able to come out, chest out, punching balls out the air, elbowing people in the heads to claim deliveries. I think that's kind of what he means. Mike saying confidence is character. Gordon saying, I've got an idea for you. Have a special live show once in a while where you just answer people's questions as you get so many of these threads. That's a pretty cool idea. The Q&As, I'm going to be bringing back. I'm working on the arms this week. I should be able to get the arms up and ready for the Liverpool game. Yeah, I think that's fair. Like De Gea, someone down there saying he's actually called himself an introvert. Maybe I'm wrong then. It's just interpretations of personality. I'm not saying that there are no successful people. Are saying that De Gea was quite an introvert, kind of kept himself to himself. There's different ways to be a goalkeeper, I suppose. There isn't a one-size-fits-all. But this comment here sort of made me laugh. He was speaking about playing at Anfield this weekend. He goes, look, it's a hard stadium. Maybe I should tell him to clap the home fans when he arrives at the Kop. Because there was a video I watched before I went live. Courtois, like, is it the Wanda Metropolitano? Winding up Atletico Madrid fans. And I'm guessing that's what he means there. Just wind them up. Try it. It's going to be a tough game. What's your expectations of Senny this weekend? I think he starts. I see absolutely no reason why he doesn't start. I think I've understood a lot of the protection from Amorim thus far, but, mate, you need your best players in this game. Right now, he's our best goalkeeper. After that performance he had against Sunderland, really confident first game. Definitely starts. I should not have mentioned introverts and extroverts because the whole comment section is going nuts. Can be an introvert, but also an extrovert. I'm an introvert goalkeeper, and I was absolutely class. That's kind of a fair comment. The keeper we've got is an introvert until he gets on the pitch. The switch. The goalkeeper switch. The focus switch. I think every player should really have that. Some of your personality should carry over on and off the pitch, but when you're on the pitch, zoom. It's like kind of Roy Keane wasn't able to. Roy Keane was the same guy off the pitch as he was on the pitch. And I'm sure everyone knows it, knows people like this. You know, people who can just put a smile on their face, put a happy smile on. No matter what they're thinking or feeling, they can all of a sudden maybe go into a work environment and just flick the switch, and then all of a sudden they're great, and then they leave work. I can't. If I'm in a bad mood, you'll know I'm in a bad mood. If I'm in a good mood, I'm obviously in a good mood. I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve a little bit. I don't have the ability to have two faces, you know what I mean? What we're saying down here. Hope he starts, says Glenn, but wouldn't put it past Ruben to protect him. No, I don't think there can be any conversation about protection here. You're just making Manchester United a worse team as a consequence if you don't start him. Game on when you hit the pitch, says Craig. Sesko lover, lovely. I'm enjoying the name. No ones will give us a clean sheet. Save a penalty too. That'd be nice. Yep, Stam is an introvert, but a beast on the field. I really shouldn't have opened this. Seems like I've opened a can of worms here by mentioning this. Yeah, there's no way that I'm starting by India. At Anfield. Is not even 1% of me is thinking that. He's starting. And I hope he has a good game. Because he's going to be busy. He made a couple of saves against Sunderland, but I wouldn't say that he was particularly busy against Sunderland. He's not going to have anywhere near as much time on the ball. And I've already mentioned it in my Šeško video I did earlier this week, and I'll mention it again in my starting 11 video. Might put it out tomorrow, just so it's got a little bit more time to breathe and there's more time for us to have a conversation about the starting 11. We'll figure it out. Because plans are for this week, we're going to be releasing our latest high-quality video, latest United People's Productions video on the stadium, the latest on the stadium. Really liking how the video's looking in the draft at the moment, but there's still quite a bit of work to do. We were hoping to get it ready for tomorrow, but if it's not ready for tomorrow, I might do the Liverpool 11 video a day earlier and then release that video on Friday. Well, maybe Saturday. Haven't quite decided yet. Someone down there saying, watch Salah turn into his prime against us. Expect Liverpool to come out firing. Expect every single Liverpool player to be at peak performance against United, because they will be, because it is United, because it is that game. Doesn't matter they've lost 3 games in a row. Form, it's relevant going into a derby, but there's different energies and adrenalines and enthusiasms that you get in these games that you just don't get in other games. So, as important as form is, expect Liverpool to be firing on all cylinders and prepare for it. Last couple of minutes. Anybody got any questions? Fire them in. Kari saying positive thoughts. He'll have a great game. I think he'll be looking forward to it. I think he'll definitely be looking forward to it. These are the sorts of games that he would have been dreaming of. To be a United player and to play as a United keeper at Anfield and dealing with that hostility, dealing with that atmosphere. It's kind of a litmus test for yourself and your own career. Can I deal with that? Can I cope with that? Yeah, you're damn right I can. Let me prove it. Zoo, you're saying the recent form will only make them more fired up. Hey, look, as I said, I'd rather Liverpool have lost 3 games going into this game on Sunday than Liverpool bashing out 3 wins in a row. Right? Lesser of 2 evils, but they're going to be G'd up for it. That's for sure. It's just that they're going to have chinks in their armour. They're going to have weaknesses, and I really hope we set up to exploit them. Right? I really, really do. What's ringing now? Right. These games separate the men from the boys. We'll find out on Sunday. Look, lunchtime video today. As I said, I'm going to do something on a little bit of a look towards next summer. A little bit of something I think is necessary when I'm speaking about Casemiro, Maguire, speaking about Shaw and Ugarte, some others too. Tomorrow might well be the starting 11 for Liverpool. We'll figure it out. All right, but I'll be here 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Thank you all. I'm going to get some elevator music sorted, so whenever I do leave, you got some entertainment. All right? Much love, everybody. Take it easy.